The CAD-to-CAD project really was put together to provide an interface, an exchange that ties multiple dispatch centers together. And the key purpose of that CAD-to-CAD exchange is bringing real-time data, both incident and apparatus level data, to include location, status, together into a hub that is then shared back across to all the other dispatch centers. The purpose that serves is the resources can be utilized, pulled from the stations, dispatched as quickly as possible to respond to incidents in the region. That's ultimately what we're trying to do. We're trying to respond as quickly as possible when seconds count to intervene on an emergency. And the CAD-to-CAD project was developed to do just that.
It's been a long process, but in the end we are so much happier because, you know, that's the thing is at times when I'm listening to the radio, I'll hear a call dispatched in ADCOM's jurisdiction. And it's a call that's pulling in Thornton units, or it's a call pulling Westview units. Well, we're also listening to the Thornton channel, and you would hear that 2 or 3 minute delay until all of a sudden the tones go off in their channel. Now that we have it going, it's like instantaneous. You're listening to both channels and boom, the tones are going off at the same time.
We wanted to make sure that we were providing the highest level of service to all of our citizens and to our partners. Many times we knew that there might be a closer unit that could have responded, and we weren't able to take advantage of it just due to the lack of technology to actually alert the proper stations or apparatus.
The CAD-to-CAD system just makes it seamless. It's it lowers the processing time through the dispatch centers, so we're able to get apparatus out the door faster. That was really the driving factor for CAD-to-CAD. It allows us to provide a better service for the community we serve.
My role, my responsibility is to make sure that we are meeting the needs of the citizens of Thornton, evaluating our response times, our travel times, the amount of resources we have dedicated to certain calls, our workloads, and this new system has allowed us to really see the impact of that and allows us to report out to the public on how we're providing service. So that's been a really significant impact to the citizens of Thornton and to the citizens in the neighboring jurisdictions as well, as they're seeing the same benefit.
It will make my dispatchers' daily jobs easier. They will not have to pay attention to radio communication and hope they don't miss something. It's all an automated process through their computer and will help them to be better fire dispatchers in general. Their jobs will become easier with this interface.
Fire channel at times can be stressful because you only have a finite amount of resources, and if there is a large incident going on or many small incidents, your resources can be depleted pretty quickly. And so being able to just use our computer system that's now connected to our adjacent agencies and get the next closest unit there as quickly as possible is really a game changer. It's no longer a stressful moment when you have 2 or 3 calls happening on the same part of town, because you know you can just get the next resources there, even if they're from a different jurisdiction.
Prior to a hub, they had a ability for CADs to connect, but it wasn't great. So it was sharing information, but the problem is when one CAD did an upgrade, if the interface did an upgrade on their side, it'd break that connection. That isn't a great way to do it. The new way that both EDC and FatPot were doing was a hub connection. And the reason it's a hub is because you have them in the center and your CAD connects just one interface to that hub. If we do an upgrade in our CAD itself, it doesn't affect anyone else. So instead, it's a hub and spoke. So you have all the hub in the center and the spokes are all the different dispatch centers, where before it was essentially a web-like feature because you had each dispatch center have to have an interface to all the other ones, and you can see how that just kind of explodes out to having all those connections.
We all use different terminology in our CAD systems on how we classify calls, on how we classify apparatus, and bringing them into a common name that then can be shared with the other CAD systems. And then along with this, and during that time as we were developing these interactions, we were also going through training with all the dispatchers, the dispatch supervisors, and with our crews in the field to get them prepared for going live with CAD-to-CAD. We also had to take our response plans and making sure all of our response plans were aligned. So everybody did things a little bit differently prior to CAD-to-CAD, and when we went live with CAD-to-CAD, we wanted to know that everybody's working on the same sort of playbook. Anytime we have delays in response, it doesn't just impact the public, it also impacts our firefighters. Incidents get more complex, fires can grow, so the more quickly we can get any resources there to start intervening, the safer they're going to be able to operate these incidents and bring them to a successful conclusion.
We've actually had a chance to kind of expand our borders and go and run calls with other agencies that we haven't been running with in the past. So we're actually able to see new people, integrate with other fire departments, and actually look into some of the things that other agencies are doing and being able to look at those things and maybe find ways that we can improve ourselves.
Prior to CAD-to-CAD, most of the fire departments had their own policies, their own practices, and this has been a multi-year project. So getting ready for CAD-to-CAD, we had to have same terminology, same operating policies, integrating obviously our technical systems. And I would say from the fire department, that was our biggest challenge, is just coming together with 7 departments to agree upon a standard operating procedures and practice.
Anytime that you grow or change what you've been doing for a long time, introduces new challenges. We overcome those through training, through communication, through collaboration. And those are all things that we utilize to get past those. And ultimately, these challenges that come up during the course of the project, we do overcome.
Now, whenever somebody calls 911, they can rest assured that the actual closest unit to their emergency is going to be the one that's actually going to respond. It's not going to matter what agency it came from, whereas in the past, it went primarily with the agency having jurisdiction, which was potentially not actually the closest unit.
In a business where seconds count, it's vitally important to get somebody there for your loved one as fast as possible. And with this, we're cutting down delays of 2 to 4 minutes. I mean, how do you put a price on that? That is huge.
Our response times have improved dramatically. We would have that 2 or 3 minute delay that we saw with our automatic aid agencies, and now it's gone down to a matter of seconds.
So we've always used mutual aid on the fire side, but we went through that with a manual process. We're on the metro-wide radio. We requested additional units for whatever call we were working or if we were depleted in one area of our city. And now that happens seamlessly through the technology, it's a much quicker system. And so getting mutual aid is just a much quicker and a much more hassle-free process for us.
Let's say a call occurred in Adams County. We called Thornton and said, we need you to respond. So they'd respond, but the only notes that they got was from the initial phone call to say, hey, this is what you respond on, this is initial stuff. So they're going and they're having to get updates verbally over the radio. Well, with the CAD-to-CAD, all those comments that a dispatcher enters goes back and forth between them. So units going to that call in Thornton now actually see all the notes that the AdCom dispatcher's putting in. They never got to see that before. It was only those initial notes.
When CAD-to-CAD went live, I think it was the first or second day, there was a structure fire, not in our jurisdiction, but another jurisdiction. And the difference to where we went with closest unit and then now CAD-to-CAD, it was amazing to see how the CAD worked and how many resources were on that scene. And as the North Area Chiefs, as we talked about that, we truly believe that that incident was mitigated as quick as possible because of CAD.
During large-scale and multi-agency incidents, the CAD-to-CAD system is going to be the one method of communication, whereas what we're doing today and what we've had to do historically is if I needed to reach Boulder, it had to be via phone. Westminster, I knew I could get them on the radio. Thornton, I could contact this way. And it was taking up a lot of resources with dispatchers that were already being buried by the activity of a large-scale incident.
You can come in, you can look at a map, and you can see where all the rigs are. You can see where all the incidents are, and from there start planning. Because for example, the Marshall Fire pulled in every single engine, truck, and pretty much every medic out of our department. The hard part is we could see our agency and where they were at, but we couldn't see where the Boulder County units or the other units were. As we connect those hubs and or connect those CADs and get them together, we're going to see all those units. So if we have an area that we know, hey, there's high fire activity that's occurring because of something like the Marshall Fire, then we're able to get a better idea and say, okay, this is how we can set up and this is how we can plan.
real impact on safety for not just for the citizens who are having this improved response, but also for all of our responders, because they're being notified more quickly. They're getting real-time information about what's occurring. And this is information that wasn't available before. You know, that can be critical information that they utilize during the response to make sure that they are operating as effectively as possible.
Believe it or not, over a span of 200 years, our fire fatalities are not decreasing. I believe in for the fire safety aspect for both the community and firefighters, that getting the right resources there and using the technology is huge. It's just going to increase the safety for both the community and fire organizations, for sure, no doubt.
When you know there's something better that can help significantly cut down delays, can make efficiency better for your agency, make it safer for your citizens and firefighters, why would you not want to do that?
It'll help ensure that those communities, when their residents are experiencing an emergency incident, will get the closest resource available to help mitigate their incident. It'll also have a positive impact on the safety of their emergency responders.
Up in the Denver metro area, we're also closely linked, that the more resources we get in this one big pool, the more we're all going to benefit and be able to serve our communities better.
When someone has an emergency and they call 911 and they need help, it doesn't matter what it says on the fire truck. They want a group of skilled professionals showing up to handle their emergency, and they want the people that are the closest. So, I mean, it's a huge benefit to everyone who's able to implement the CAD-to-CAD stuff.